All right. Well, today I am going to be teaching on the EZ series and Estey products that we carry here. So I'm going to start on this EZ2 here is what I have. And then behind me, I'm going to move over in a little bit. I have a Freedom 3, but I'll be talking about all the different ones here and there. So it'll work for everybody. EZ1, EZ2, EZ3, EZ4. Then we skip to EZ10. And then there's an SD Discovery 3 and SD Freedom 3. So we're going to talk about how these things work a little bit. I'm going to start really simple and just kind of give you just sort of a general idea of when you sit down to play, this is what to do, okay? So we're going to start real simple, and then at the end, I'm going to give you some, well, not the end, but the second half, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks that are going to make you sound like a professional without having to do all the extra work. So it's just simple things anybody can do. So let's start out here. So before we start, I think what I'm going to do is just play a song to get us going. And I haven't checked our volumes really, so hopefully maybe Robert can tell me as long as it's if it's too loud or too quiet, but I think it should be okay. So let's just play a little bit on this EZ2 here. Let's have some do something we don't do typically. Let's do Latin music. How about that? So here we go. Here's a little Latin medley I'm going to figure out on the spot here. Woohoo!
It must have sounded okay to me because I forgot that I was trying to check your sound and I was just enjoying the beautiful music.
There you go. That works. So that
It's really
was
like relaxing. That's a great song. Like if you're ever stressed out, want to
exactly.
put you in an even mood. That's like a great, it's like a just a feel like you're on the ocean breeze.
Exactly. That's what I always want with my music is I want to relax. If I'm having a busy day or a stressful day, you can all do this. It's great to just stop what you're doing and go play something. And especially like that, that was Girl from Ipanema, nice bossa nova type music, and played the theme from More. So just a couple Latin songs to get started, so hopefully it sounds okay. Now let's talk about how I set these things up and how you set these up at home. So first thing I have is a question for you. When you sit at these or when you have friends over, I've asked this before, what do you call these? What is this that you play on at home? Anyone want to unmute?
Virtual orchestra.
Thank you, Hal. You got it. That's important to know. Some people just say, oh, it's my organ or my keyboard, and it's so much more than that. You have drums and percussion and saxophones, trumpets, guitars, violins, organ. You have piano. You have all sorts of neat stuff in there. It's so much more. You have a whole orchestra at your disposal. So when you go home, or I guess you're all at home pretty much, When you're at home, I want you to think about that when you sit at these. Don't think that, oh, I've got to set up my keyboard. Oh, there's so much. You don't have to do a whole lot, okay? So let's start real simple. We're at an orchestra. We are the band leader, right? You're the band leader or conductor. So how we do that is we sit in front of our orchestra. We, slap our baton against the podium here, and we decide who do we want to play with. What kind of orchestra should we hire? And what I did for that first one is I hired a Latin orchestra. So all I did was press the button that says Latin, and it's done. It's all set up for me. Now, I pressed some other buttons and did a couple tricks in there that I'll talk about later. But first off, that's what we do. So let's just say you got home from a long day of retirement and you want to sit down and play some music. If you're a fan of somebody like Frank Sinatra, he never stood at the front of the stage. What was he doing at the front of the stage? He was singing. So some people, get confused. They're like, well, this is cheating, isn't it? You're doing all this extra stuff. It's doing it for you. That's exactly what Frank did. He would sing just like your right hand would do, and then the left hand and the instrument are providing the orchestra. So if we want to play a Frank Sinatra song, let's hire a standards orchestra. And that, right when I press that on the EZ2, it actually pops up with a rhythm actually titled Frank and the Count, which is based on Frank Sinatra and Count Basie. So right when I do that, I can pretend I'm Frank Sinatra here and play with my favorite orchestra, the Count Basie Orchestra. So hit it. All right, now I'm going to sing. Some people get tired of those intros and endings, and I just love them because I imagine being that band leader and kind of sitting in front of that band while they just rock that ending. There are drums going and all that neat stuff. So keep that in mind as you're playing and you're hiring your orchestras. That's one of the most important buttons. It's the purple one on the left side. It says intro/ending. Because if you start out sounding great and you end sounding great, doesn't matter what happened in the middle, right? So it's always a great button to use, just when you finish a song. So that's how you hire an orchestra. Now let's get a little bit more in depth here. I'm going to show you a picture here, because why not? Oop, wrong button. So if you have an EZ series instrument, it should look something like this on your panel. I'm just going to put this on the screen so you can see it. You see that there? It should say music styles, and it has all sorts of different buttons on the top kind of going across. Those are called genres or music styles. So that's the first place you want to go when you say, I want to hire an orchestra to play with today. And what's nice is you already paid them, right? You bought these instruments, you paid all these orchestras, so you don't have to pay them again. So you just hire your orchestra. We did standards. And it automatically gave me what? A full band of people. I had a whole bunch of people playing in there. Now, if you have an EZ series instrument, this is one thing. I'll show you the SD, how that works in just a moment. But what's really neat here that they kind of decided to add on these is this performer section on the bottom. Now, I think most of you know how this works. This is also in a lot of the touch screen models, just more inside the screen. Oops. So if you have that, you should be a little familiar. So what's really cool is if you're playing any of these styles of music, let's say you're playing a waltz. That's the 3/4 button there. And I don't want to play with a whole band. I don't want to hire everybody. I just want to hire somebody to play piano. Maybe you want to play it more toned down. You know, if you're listening to a radio, not every song you hear has, you know, drums all over the place and brass and trumpets and all that. Sometimes you want to play a song with just the piano player like that. And that's what this button does. Sometimes people get confused and say, oh, this turns the whole thing into just a piano. That's sort of true, but it's really just hiring a piano player on your left hand, and then you can still play the melody and sing with it. So imagine you're at a lounge and there's just a piano and there's a lady or me just laying on the piano. Well, don't imagine me laying on the piano, but, you know, with a microphone singing a song, and that's what you get. So if you touch 3/4 pianist, that's all I get. So listen, here's just my piano player. Here's my introduction. This is for if you've always wanted to play the piano. Now you can. Have them do an ending as well. Woo! Beautiful. Beautiful. It's really, really nice to just kind of play a nice mellow piano style. And for those of you who have instruments like this, what do you think the guitarist button does? Anybody? It's like when you go camping, somebody always brings a guitar. So that's what this is. You're going camping. You're bringing just a guitar. So if I say I want country music, I touch the button that says country, and then I hire a guitarist. And that's exactly what I get. Now, if you want to, any of these guitarist or piano styles, you can actually bring in the rest of the band at any time. So it's great. You can start with just a guitar, bring in the drums. Here's how I did that. You should all have this if you have an instrument like this. Actually, I think most instruments have these buttons. On this, there's a picture of a drum set, and it says volume. That means drum volume. Easy enough. So if you touch the up arrow, what do? They get louder. If you press the down arrow, they get softer. Easy as that. So that's how you set up and hire your orchestras. Now, I think I can go ahead and move that way, so wish me luck. Hopefully I don't unplug anything. That seems to happen every time. But I'm going to wish for the best here. And let's move this and move this. And I'm going to go to the Freedom 3 over here, made by Estey. That's probably fine right there. Move it a little bit that way. So now I can still fit here. Hello. Okay, so this is the Freedom 3 made by Estey, where you have some more options as well. So let me show you how this one works, because we have a lot of people with these new instruments here. There we go. This is what your panel looks like. It's a little bit different. Those blue buttons work the same as before. These are my genres. or styles of music. And then you have one different button here. You might notice it says Styles 2. That's like turning the page. Because you see, every button that is on there, on this Freedom 3, you have standards, country, etc. And when you touch that button, if I touch country, I get 2 country rhythms on the screen that I can pick from. And then what happens is if I touch this Styles 2 button, I get a second page of 2 more rhythms for each of these buttons. So, long story short, I've got 4 types of rhythms in each button that you can choose from here. So, you've got a lot of choices in these, and what's great is they give you shortcuts too. So this is really important. This is kind of starting the second part of the class here, is you have a special button on the EZ4 on up and the Freedom 3. This is for if you want to hire an orchestra, but you don't know which one. So for example, say you want to play a polka, Beer Barrel Polka. Let's say that's our song. We want to play that. If I look at my panel here, none of those buttons say polka. What do? Well, I can hire an agent. You've got that on here too. It's called Song Setup. So most of you know that. I think a lot of you have that button. That's how I say it. It's hiring an agent. If you don't know what to do, that's the Do It For Me button. So I touch Song Setup. It gives me an alphabetical list of songs. What does Beer Barrel Polka start with? B. I know you know it. It's okay. Beer Barrel Polka. There it is. So if I highlight it on the screen and I hit Select, boom. The entire instrument set up for me. I don't have to do a darn thing. Just find it and then I play. So what you want to do at home is if you have the music, this is where you put it up and you just play it. So here's Beer Barrel Polka. So easy as that. You just have the machine or have your agent, is what I say, set it up for you. So I'm going to take a quick break and answer any questions on anything you might have. I see Hal has a question, so go ahead, Hal.
If you use the song setup and you don't like what the virtual orchestra picks for you, you're not locked in to use that one, right? You can change.
Sure. Yeah, you can do whatever you want. That's. I have a twin sister. It's funny because she brings this up sometimes. She says she's a nurse, so at the doctor's office she'll be in the hospital and she'll go to one of those rooms where the patient buzzes her in, and she goes in there and they say, "Nurse, nurse, it hurts when I do this," and she says, "Don't do that." You can think of it the same way. If you have something and you don't like it, don't do it. So if you use the song setup and it pulls up something like, so this song, Beer Barrel Polka, what it pulled up for me, it gave me the polka/march rhythm on the left hand, and on the right hand it gave me organ. And I might say, well, I like the left hand, I like that rhythm, but maybe I want a different sound. Maybe I don't want organ. Maybe I want an accordion, I think that might sound a little more natural to me. So then I can just change my right hand sound over here to something else. So here's my same rhythm. I didn't change that. I let it set it up for me, but I said I want to play my melody with to accordion. And then it sounds a little bit more like I would want to hear it.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Anybody? Pretty simple so far. But I'm going to give you some tough stuff here in a second here. So, all right. So that is kind of the first half of the show here. I just want to make sure you all, when you sit at your instruments, you kind of know what to do and you feel like you're in control. You know, sometimes people sit at these and they say, I want to play a, swing rhythm, so I'm going to do that, and then it comes up and it sounds like this. And they say, well, that's way too fast. I can't play the song, I guess. It's okay. You're the controller. You're the band leader, the conductor. If they're playing too fast, you hired them. You tell them what to do. So you tell them to slow down. So I press the down arrow on the tempo, and I tell them to do what I want. You know, we used to have a teacher in this location in Arizona here that they used to, just one of the instructors here used to say in one of the classes I overheard, I had a student say, well, what if it's too fast? It feels too fast. And then he said, well, play it anyway. You got to play it at the speed you're supposed to. And if you don't, you're not playing it right. Don't do that. It's not right. You know, you can slow him down. You paid for him. You slow him down. Tell him to slow down for you. And what you can do is over time, start off slowly like that song I started with. Let me get that. There we go. That's better. Come fly with me. That might sound just a little slow, but that's okay. Once you get it figured out, you can say, I'm ready to speed up some more. So that's what your tempo buttons are for, and that's why I say you are the band leader, not anybody else. This machine doesn't run you. You run it. So that's just some helpful hints to start out. So when you sit at your instruments, you can kind of have a different way of thinking about it now. And now for the second half, what I want to do is give you just a couple of tips and tricks that anybody can do. And this is going to make you sound good right away. So let me get rid of some of these things I have on my screen. Okay. So here are a couple tips. The first one I'm going to talk about, this is something, like I said, anybody can do. Anybody. And you hear us do it all the time. And this is one of the things that when people hear you, they say, wow, did you get good? You sound great. And you don't have to do much to do it. So it's a little musical trick, okay? So here we go. It's called grace notes. Do you guys know what those are?
Ooh.
Yeah. Grace, it kind of implies delicate. It's grace notes. You use them with grace. So this is just a little kind of a blurb on how to use them, but I'll explain here. So basically, you see this little note right before the big note? That's all it is. So whenever you hear the word grace note, all it is it's just like playing a teeny tiny note before your desired note. So say in the music, there's an A note, and you want to put a little grace note in front of it. So here's an A. To do a grace note, you pretend just like if you're at an airport and you bump into somebody. You don't bump into them very long. It's really quick, and you kind of back away, right? So you got to be quick about it. And what you use is the note right below directly. So not A, but A flat. So just one note lower. So a half step down. So go from A flat to A. That's it. That's a grace note. So if I want to hit an A, I hit the note before it. I just bump into it. Just bump into it on the way. Because what happens if you hold it too long, it's going to sound a little messy. So let's use an example here. Let's do this here. Let's play some Everly Brothers here. I'm going to get a nicer sound here. Let's use some strings. No, not strings. Let's use a saxophone. Here we go. See how I kind of did that quickly? And the reason I say bump into it quickly is if you hold it down too long, it sounds yucky. Just even a little bit too long, it makes it sound a little yucky. So Just like I said, the airport analogy. You bump into somebody and you make it quick, just real quick. And you can use the same finger. So if you're, same example, if you're going to hit a D note, here's a D note. If I'm going to use a grace note before it, I just bump into D flat right below it. Just like that. So let's do another example. Let's do country music here. I don't know that song, but that's okay. I'm just using the example here. So if I want to play crazy and I want to do that, it sounds really nice if I hit that grace note. But if I hold it down too long, so same thing, you don't want to do a grace note on every note either. And this is the question that people ask most of the time is, well, when do I use it? How do I know which note to do it on? Well, it's up to you. That's the best advice because you can really use it on anything. I always recommend the first or last note in a phrase. So that's one tip. That's what usually sounds best is if you do it first or last note within a phrase. So a vocal line when, you know, crazy, da 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 da. That's the phrase. And then it does another one. So first or last note of the phrase usually sounds best, though it really depends on the song. The key is moderation, okay? You don't want to use it too much because then it makes you sound sick, you know, if you're doing it. You know, you don't want to do that. So if you're playing let's say you're doing... Yuck. Don't do it too much, just a little bit. And if you want to, what I put on that little handout kind of thing I showed you here, it's not a handout, but on the bottom it says the glide switch has a similar effect. So if you feel like you'd rather, instead of doing a grace note, you can actually use the glide there. And it does exactly the same thing. Just like I said, you don't want to hold it too long. Just really quick. So just a little bit in moderation like that. So that's something that's pretty simple to do that any of you can handle, I think. And you'll sound professional right away. You know, and then somebody will, I guarantee it, your husband, wife, friend, whoever hears you play next, they're going to say, did you get better? You got better. You know, just from doing that one little thing. So that's just one part of it. Do I have any questions on grace notes?
Do they ever go down scale as opposed to upscale?
Ooh, that's a great question. I would say no unless you're playing blues music. If you're playing blues music, it creates something called a blue note. So when you play it, let me see if I can think of one here off the top of my head. You know, you can kind of go down, and it sounds a little blue. It sounds sadder. If you're playing something more major key and it's supposed to sound happy, you don't want to use that. It'll sound kind of but you can do it.
Bagpipes go down too.
What's that?
Bagpipes go down as well.
Sure. Yeah, they do that as well, bagpipes. But if you're playing something like, you know... You can kind of do little grace notes going down. And it sounds cool because it's bluesy. But you don't want to do it at any other time, really. So,
Where's the glide switch on the EZ2?
That's a great question. It is on the left side of your foot hole, which you cannot see from here, I bet. Yeah, it's a little dark, but there's a little foothold down here. You stick your
Yeah.
foot in it, and you kick to the left. Not
Ah,
too hard. You don't want to break anything, but it's just it's just on the left side. So if your foot's in the hole like this, there's just a switch right here. You just gently boop, press it in, and it sounds like this. So right when you press it in, oops, here we go. Here's my saxophone. If I kick it over, so it's the same on the EZ too. It's on the left side. You just kick your
Yeah.
foot over.
what's that basic pedal for down below? You know, if you've got the volume controls on the keyboard, why use the one on the down below?
It's called an expression pedal. What a lot of organ players do traditionally is they use it and kind of pump on it or go loud then soft to kind of create expression. So you're kind of soft starting out and then you get louder. It's usually for things like that. But just like you, what I usually do is like push it kind of pretty far forward and just turn the volume here down.
Yeah.
And then just leave it because then you don't have too much up and down volume. But that's what people usually use it for is expression. So that's
Thank
why
you.
you have a volume there and up here.
Thank you.
Great questions. Great questions. Any others? These are really good questions. All right. Well, here we go. Let's give you our second tip and trick. Tip or trick. Tip and or trick. So this one is one of my favorite things to do because this is, you might have seen workshops in the past say play it like you sing it or play it like you hear it. And this is where you use a trick called syncopation. Can anybody tell me here, if you want to unmute you can, tell me what syncopation means? If not, I'll just tell you, so that's okay. All right, I'll even show you on the screen so you can kind of read it. But basically, in short, syncopation is just playing the notes off of the beat. So it says right under their grace note section, involves playing the melody. Who wrote this? Oh yeah, I did. The melody in a variety of rhythms which are in some way unexpected and make part or all of the tune or piece of music sound off beat. Now, keep in mind there's an important word in there. It's right here. Let me circle it. It's called the melody. So keep in mind, we are playing the left hand exactly the same. We're not changing anything. But when you're playing a song and you want to use syncopation, what you do is you're playing your melody notes slightly off the beat. So here's a good example of this. Maybe you've heard this song before. Let me put it on the screen. Mac the Knife. Have you heard of this song before? Probably. Now, this song is written in easy play, as pretty much all the songs that you might read are. And what happens is if you play it exactly as written, you sound like a robot. Because what happens is that when a lot of these crooners or singers sing these songs, Frank Sinatra or this is Bobby Darin traditionally, when they sing it, they do not sing it like this. They throw it off the beat. They use syncopation a lot, especially Frank Sinatra. I'll talk about him in a second, but they're the kings of syncopation. So let's use this as an example here, and let's play Mac the Knife. And what I'm going to do is play it as written. So let's listen to what this sounds like as written here. So here we go. I'm just going to play it just like it says right there. And let's listen here and tell me if you like this. Boring, right? it's missing something. It doesn't have that feeling that somebody's singing this. There's something wrong. What you want to do is take some of these notes that you see and throw them a little bit off the beat. So when you see the "Oh, the shark has," throw it off a little bit. So like this. Oh, the... Immediately, it sounds much better. I mean, it wasn't perfect because I don't play the song perfectly, and that's okay. But it sounded immediately better right when I just throw those right hand notes off a little bit. You still play the same notes, and especially if you play those notes and use the grace notes we just talked about, it's going to sound excellent. So some more examples of that. Like I said, Frank Sinatra, he was kind of the king of syncopation. You know, when you hear "Come Fly With Me," for example, I started earlier with that. When he sings that song, he doesn't do it right on the beat, because that would sound terrible. Come fly with me, come fly, let's fly. Boring. So what you want to do is play it off the beat. So here we go. Let's try that one. Three. So just like that, you throw it slightly off the beat, and then people go, ooh. I swear, immediately when you do that at home and you play for somebody, they're going to say, ooh, right away, because it's a very ooh sound. And you can do that with anything, and it doesn't have to be exaggerated. If you've never done it before, here's a good place to start. Country music. Let's say you're going to play a nice little country tune. Let's say you're going to play "Your Cheatin' Heart," okay? And let's syncopate it. But let's just start with one note. So let's pick one and syncopate it. So here we go. Let's try it. Here's a good place to start. Here's without syncopation. Kind of simple. Now let's syncopate. Woo. Just throw that one note off. Isn't that fun? So that's just a good little trick. It seems difficult, but the key is, long story short, if you play it wrong, it'll sound right. You know what I mean? So if you play it slightly off the beat, people are going to say, oh, that sounds more realistic. That's how people sing it. And that's okay. So any questions on syncopation? It's a little bit tricky to think about, but when you just sit down and you try it, it's not so bad. So any questions? Anybody?
Is the syncopation usually a half note off?
I would say so, yeah. Half or an eighth, like little eighth note off. It doesn't have to be too off. And, it doesn't even have to be a specific measurement, I would say, of, you know, where you have to hit it one beat off. That was an exaggeration. That one that I just did. That's if you're trying to practice using that skill. But what's nice is when I did that other one, you know, Come Fly With Me, I wasn't necessarily thinking, oh, I'm going to throw it just a quarter note off or a half note off. It was just kind of, you know, just a little bit out there, as if somebody's just kind of singing over the left side here.
Thanks.
Any other questions? All right. Well, that's all I have. I have a kind of a finale tune I can play for you in just a minute. We might have some announcements. I might do them here, or if Robert's not busy, he can. If you give me a thumbs up, I'll do it. Perfect. Cool. That works for me. So just something to look out for. Let me give you something that you want to keep in mind. On Monday, July 12th, if you write that down, Monday, July 12th, if you have an EZ series or Estey, the next installment of this class, this is just the first installment. The next installment of this class is going to be that day, Monday, July 12th. So mark your calendars, or you can go look at ours, and we have that. It's let me show it to you on our website. We show it to you all the time. So you should be familiar. Here is our website. So I'm in the button that says Virtual Classes and Events, and if I scroll down, at first I have our Beginner Conductor Magic class, then I get a list of everything coming up right here. And you can see the calendar view right here. So you can go future months and even look at what's coming up. And July 12th, it's not on there yet. We're going to add it shortly. But on July 12th, that's where you'll see our new EZ Estey tips and tricks, just like today. So you can check this for anything we do online. It'll be in this Virtual Classes and Events button. Now, if you are near a local Fletcher Music Centers, we have activities at all the locations now as well. So just pick which state you're closer to or within. If you're in Arizona, you know, here's my location, Mesa. You know, and I've got all sorts of stuff in here. So every day we've got events in the store that you can look at here. Tomorrow we've got a rock concert we're going to do, so that's going to be fun. And if you do not have a store near you, that's okay. That's what this is all about, this Patreon. So let me plug this real quick. Our Patreon it's one of my favorite things. I love the Patreon website. It's made for creators like ourselves. We create music, we create videos and classes. And when you go to this site, it has a lot of cool stuff. So this is if you want to, you know, contribute to Fletcher Music online goings-ons. This is where you can do that. You can click Become a Patron. So we can keep this thing rocking, and we plan on doing that. And just for becoming a patron, you get bonus content. So not just some of our videos and some of our classes, but you get everything we do. And we do a lot, you know. So everything on here is just for you. So become a patron. You get extra stuff. And that's all I got. So I'm going to play a song on our way out. Any last questions? I hear some.
Okay, with Patreon, you have to contribute by the month. Is there a way that you can just pay one flat fee? I'm out of the country and I don't really want to set up a monthly deduction.
That makes sense. That makes sense. We might set that up. We haven't yet. There's a way we can do that. It's just kind of a pain. But we will do that. We do plan on doing some different subscription type things too. We might change it so you get different subscription levels. You know, we're looking into that because if you look at some of the other channels and providers on there, they have all sorts of things where if you pay, you know, $1, you get this. You pay $5, you get this. If you pay $20 a month, you get T-shirts and, you know, stuff like that. So we might look into doing some special things like that, as well as like a yearly subscrition, something like that too.
I'd rather a yearly deal than have my card having monthly deductions.
I appreciate that. We'll keep that in mind. We're always looking to improve things. So that's something we are looking at for sure. So I appreciate it. Any other questions or anything I can help you guys with before I play us out? Well, all right. So I'm going to finish off with a really great rhythm that they included on this SD Freedom 3. Some people don't even know it's there, but it's in the Standards button. If I go to Styles 2, where it's my second page of rhythms, I get a rhythm called Boogie. So let's boogie. I'm going to have the I'm going to play an Andrews Sisters song here. So let me start here, and I'm going to put on some different sounds and get them ready to go, because you can do that. So here's Boogie Woogie Bugle Blues. So let's blues it up on this version here. Have a solo. Close enough. All right, so thank you so much for coming, and we're going to have another one, like I said, Monday, July 12th. So check our online calendar for that. So have a great day.
Sean,
Yes?
is there anything you can use on an EZ4 for sound for that?
For that song?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I'm sure if you speed up any of the standard styles, so standards full band or traditional guitarist would sound good too. You just have to speed it up quite a bit, maybe 160 or 150.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right.